Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. According to Fabrizio Romano, Solskjaer's sacking has been approved by the Glazers. Solskjaer will officially be sacked today or tomorrow. Darren Fletcher is taking over as the interim manager for the game against Villarreal on Tuesday. Solskjaer's final game in charge of Man United was Watford. After the 4-1 defeat to Watford, Solskjaer said his goodbyes to the players and staff. Manchester United will pay Solskjaer around 7.75 million. Because in the summer, Solskjaer signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Now, according to Sky Sports, Zidane is in line to replace Solskjaer. Last week, reports said that Zinedine Zidane turned down the Man United job, as it said he's pretty much agreed to take the France job. And it said Zidane is not available until the summer because the Manchester United board held talks with Zidane, and Zidane notified the board that he doesn't feel ready for the Premier League at the moment and prefers to take a break until the summer. Zidane's close relationships with Ronaldo and Varane should persuade him to join. Well, Ronaldo wants Zidane at Man United, he's already made that clear. Zidane is interested in the Manchester United job, but last week it said that Zidane's wife wasn't attracted to the idea of living in Manchester. Zidane is managerless because he left Real Madrid in the summer, and you've got to admire what he did at Real Madrid. He won a lot of trophies at Real Madrid, so reflecting on that, he's got a good pedigree behind him. Zidane has not yet managed in the Premier League, so it would be good for him to come and experience the Premier League. But I reckon Zidane would be the man for Man United. You know, Zidane has got that big club arrogance. He'd get us back to that level where we should be at. He'd certainly suit the strappings of the club, and he would be capable of winning trophies, and he would get the best out of these group of players. Certainly my preference would be Zidane over Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers has been spoken about a lot. Now, prior to the Watford game, Sky Sports and ESPN said that Brendan Rodgers distances himself from the Man United job. He said reports linking him with the Man United job were not true, and he said, "I'm proud to be at Leicester." Not so long ago, Brendan Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire, and it said Brendan Rodgers is the favourite to replace Solskjaer. The other week it said Man United are ready to trigger Brendan Rodgers' contract clause when Solskjaer is sacked. Earlier on this season it said Brendan Rodgers had already verbally agreed to become Man United's new manager, but his preference would be to wait until next season, as it did mention that he's reluctant to leave Leicester midway through the season. At Leicester, Rodgers has won the Community Shield in the FA Cup, and he's been in charge of Leicester for almost 3 years. He's got a contract with them until 2025. Should Rodgers come in? I'm not too sure. Pochettino's still being spoken about, and Eric Ten Hag has also been mentioned. I heard yesterday that Laurent Blanc could come in as the interim manager. But revert back to Solskjaer, despite Manchester United sacking Solskjaer, we'll always adore him, reflecting on what he's done for the club. Solskjaer will always be a club legend. Solskjaer endured 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance. Solskjaer's most iconic moment as a player was when he scored the winning goal at the Nou Camp in the Champions League final back in 1999. He won the club the treble, and that is the club's greatest achievement. Solskjaer had a proven pedigree as a player, but unfortunately he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. Solskjaer was in charge of Manchester United for almost 3 years. And this season was Solskjaer's third full season as Man United manager. And I did say at the start of this season that this season was going to be massive for him. But, Solskjaer was never capable of winning trophies as Man United manager, and obviously he didn't win a trophy as Man United manager. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. Of course, we all wanted Solskjaer to succeed, but he was never going to. The expectations were far too high for Solskjaer to exceed as manager, and Ollie was in a position that he shouldn't have really been in. Reflecting on our poor performances though, yes, Solskjaer was partly to blame because his tactics and his team selections were questioned a lot, but not all of the blame stemmed from Ollie. There's also players that have to take responsibility for those poor performances. When Solskjaer is officially sacked, he'll be the fourth permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson, because Man United have already sacked 3 managers since Ferguson. We sacked David Moyes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. Solskjaer got appointed in as Man United manager back in December 2018. In Solskjaer's first 3 months he was the interim manager. He did well as the interim manager. He won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. So reflecting on that, the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. And Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job. Not only a massive job, a difficult job as well. Because at the end of the day, Ollie was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. Solskjaer ran out of excuses a long time ago, didn't he? Because Manchester United have got a very good squad. But the reason we're not getting the best out of a lot of the players is because we're a team of individuals. We don't actually play as a team. Man United should be winning the league this season, or at least competing for the league, because Man United have got a title-winning squad. Man United have not won the Premier League since 2013. Plus, the board backed Solskjaer very well in the summer transfer window. Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year. Spent around £141 million, made 4 signings. 3 of the 4 signings were major signings. Ollie enjoyed like 5 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. So there you go. Manchester United spent over £400 million under the Solskjaer era, and Solskjaer signed 14 players. He also got rid of a lot of players. He loaned players out, he got rid of players permanently. In Solskjaer's first full season, he got us to 3 semi-finals and he got us a 3rd place finish. In his second full season, he got us to the EFL Cup semi-final, the FA Cup quarter-final and the Europa League final, and that was his first major final as Man United manager, but unfortunately we didn't win it. And last season, Solskjaer got us a 2nd place finish. To be fair though, I did like the way Solskjaer developed the youth as Man United manager, and to be fair as well, Solskjaer more or less giving everybody their chances to express themselves like he showed he would do when he got appointed in as Man United manager. You know, we're not going to get another Alex Ferguson because, like I've said before, no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. Alex Ferguson brought success to Manchester United. He won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. Ferguson's the greatest manager of all time. But Fergie didn't settle in straight away at Man United because he didn't win out in his first 4 years. Ferguson was a very long-serving manager for Man United as well. He enjoyed about a 26-27 year managerial tenure. The only mistake Ferguson made was recommending David Moyes in when he retired, but the reasons he did that is because Fergie had a lot of time for Moyes, plus they're both Scottish. You know, before Ferguson, we weren't that good. You know, we weren't good under Ron Atkinson. We weren't good under Wilf McGuinness. We certainly weren't good under Frank O'Farrell. We got relegated under Frank O'Farrell back in 1974. That's 40 odd years ago now. And I don't think we was that good under Matt Busby. I think we had a good start under Sir Matt Busby, then it went all downhill. Manchester United have spent over £1 billion since Ferguson retired. Now, players are going to be leaving Manchester United next year. You know, I think Martial is going next year. Well, Martial doesn't get in the team, does he? And he's no longer good enough to represent the club. You know, Martial had one good season at Man United. That was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. And Martial come back from injury not so long ago. Last season, Martial was out with a knee injury for a while. Martial has been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract, and we got Martial in a deal worth, 58 million from Monaco back in 2015. Cavani, I think he's another one that's going next year. Unfortunately, because I can't say I want Cavani to leave with the impact he's made since he's come in. You know, Cavani's hold-up play is good, he creates good chances, his movement in and around the box is good, and he scores good goals. Cavani's out with injury until December. Cavani was out with injury earlier on this season. Cavani has got under a year left on his Man United contract. It was back in May he signed that 1 year contract extension. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG, and this season is his second full season at the club. Cavani's got a good pedigree behind him. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at PSG. Not only that, he was a long-serving player when he was at PSG. Lingard, I think there's a good chance that he's going to be leaving next year. Prior to the Watford game, he said Jesse Lingard's Man United future was in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. Lingard's current contract expires next summer. It recently said Lingard could leave Man United for just £10 million. Solskjaer did say prior to the Watford game that Lingard's do remain part of his plans. West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. Well, obviously, the second half of last season, Lingard enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. And I also heard that Lingard wants to move abroad. Lingard's only made one start this season, that was West Ham in the Carabao Cup. But he doesn't really get in our team. Lingard's been part of the club for a long time. You know, risen up our academy and that. He's had his good periods at Man United, he's also had his bad periods. Juan Mata, he's another one who I think's going next year. Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer, because earlier on this year, Juan Mata signed a 1-year contract extension. I can't understand why we extended his contracts for the further year, because Mata doesn't get in the team. Plus, he's lost that yard of pace and he's ageing up. But despite that, I think he's had a good career at Man United. Mata has made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. He's been a long-serving player as well at Man United. He's been with us for 7.5 years. You know, we got Juan Mata from Chelsea back in 2014 for 40 million. Van der Beek, he's leaving in January. The player himself has already confirmed that. Because Van der Beek doesn't get enough game time at Man United. You know, Van der Beek came on in the 4-1 defeat to Watford and he made an impact. You know, he came on and scored and he was trying to make things happen and he got into some very good positions. That just proves how good Van der Beek is. You know, Van der Beek's endured a difficult, 19 months now is it at Man United. You know, this season is Van der Beek's second full season at Man United, you know. I expected Van der Beek to play a lot more than he has done because at the end of the day, Man United got him for 40 million with add-ons included. He's got a contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further year. And he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Matic, I think he's also going next year. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his chances. Surprisingly enough, Matic is ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. Matic played alongside McTominay yesterday against Watford. But I've always had my reservations about Matic, even though he has had his good games at Man United. You know, Matic has been at the club for 4.5 years. We got Matic from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. And Paul Pogba, I think there's a good chance that he's leaving next year because not so long ago it said Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Well, it's better to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Well, Pogba may never play for the club again anyway because Pogba's missing the rest of 2021 because Pogba suffered a thigh injury in France training the other week. By the way, Pogba's done his 3-match ban. Reports from France said not so long ago that Pogba actually wanted to renew his contract with Man United, but only if we was to make him the Premier League's highest paid player. So he wanted to overtake Ronaldo. Well, Pogba's one of the highest paid players at the club anyway at the moment because he receives around 290 grand a week on his current contract. His current contract at Man United expires next summer. Before the start of this season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract. But Pogba is a good player. He's not only a good player, he's an imperative player as well. I thought Pogba did enjoy a good start to the Premier League season. You know, got 7 assists. He produced good performances for Man United in the last couple of months of last season, but at one point last season he was out with a thigh injury for a while and he sustained some ankle injuries at Man United. Pogba's had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with Real Madrid. His former club Juventus have been in for him. He did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined Man United. PSG have been in for him. Barcelona have been in for him and Inter Milan have been in for him before. Pogba's agent Mino Raiola has been working hard now though for quite some time to get his client to move away from the club. We paid 89 million for Pogba, so he's our most expensive signing at the moment. He's won 3 trophies at the club so far, and this season is Pogba's 6th season at the club since he re-signed. Tellez, I think there's a good chance he'll leave next year as well because Tellez doesn't really get in the team. Tellez will only play when Shaw's not available. So Tellez is our backup left back to Shaw. Tellez was out with injury earlier on this season. He's a good left back, but I haven't had much of a perception on him. Some of the games he's been involved in for Man United, he's done quite well. You know, we got Tellez for 15.4 million from Porto last year. Dalot, I think he's leaving next year as well because Dalot's another one that doesn't really get in the team. You know, Dalot's our backup right back to Bissaka. Dalot will only play when Bissaka's not available. In some of the games though Dalot's been involved in, he's done alright. You know, last season Dalot had a loan spell with AC Milan. Reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Man United got Dalot around 3 years ago from Porto for 19 million. Dalot's got a contract with us till 2023. Bailly, unfortunately, I think he's leaving next year because Bailly doesn't get regular game time. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window. And obviously Lindelof's preferred to Bailly. Don't ask me why, because Bailly is a far superior player to Lindelof. Bailly's only made 3 appearances so far this season. My concern about Bailly is injury prone, so in that aspect he's a liability. Towards the end of last season, he signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. Bailly's been at Man United for 5.5 years. We got him from Villarreal back in 2016 for 30 million. We brought him in under the Jose Mourinho era. And Phil Jones, he's leaving next year. You know, Jones has always been inconsistent. And at one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. Did you know that Jones is only the outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era? This season is Jones' 11th season, so he has been a very long-serving player for Man United. And I think Dean Henderson is going out on loan next year because obviously Dean Henderson doesn't get in goal now because De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. So there you go. But you know, these very, very good players at Manchester United, like I've gone through with you before. You know, you've got Rashford, that's a decent player. You've got Greenwood, that's a talented player. You've got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. You've got Fernandes, that's a very, very good player. You've got Cavani, that's a good player. You've got Sancho, that's a good player overall, but he's been poor so far for Manchester United. But hopefully under a new manager we'll get the best out of Sancho. You've got Donny van der Beek, that's a good player, but like I said, doesn't get in the team enough. You know, if Van der Beek was to get his chances under a new manager, that could persuade him not to leave in January. You've got Paul Pogba, that's a very good player as well. You've got Bissaka, who's defensively superb but attackingly poor. There's aspects of Anwan Bissaka's game that's got to improve. And you've got Bailly, that's a good centre-half like I've already mentioned. You've got Varane, that's a good centre-half. Varane is a big miss for Man United. He's out with a hamstring injury. He's out for around 2 to 3 weeks. It's his second injury he's endured as a Manchester United player because not so long ago he was out with a groin injury, was Varane. You know, you've got Maguire, that's good when he wants to be, but hasn't really proven how good he can be at Manchester United. He's been poor for Man United in a lot of games and he's been very, very poor this season. He's been even worse since he came back from that calf injury. As you all know, Maguire got sent off yesterday against Watford, so he will be missing the game against Chelsea next weekend. And you've got Shaw, that's a good left back overall. But Shaw has not proven how good he can be this season because Luke Shaw's been terrible this season. Where's the Luke Shaw from last season? Because last season Luke Shaw was superb. Far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. And you've obviously got De Gea. That's a very, very good goalkeeper as well. He deserves a lot of credit because he's done really well so far this season. You know, De Gea against Watford, you know, saved 2 penalties. He made some other good saves in the game. You know, De Gea did well in the 2-0 defeat to Man City because I recall De Gea making 4 fantastic saves in the first half of that game. Yes, De Gea was partly to blame for Bernardo Silva's goal. So, there you go. There is inconsistent players at Man United. You know, you've got Fred and McTominay. They're not good enough to represent the club. Matic, not good enough to represent the club. Lindelof, not good enough to represent the club. Martial, not good enough to represent the club, but he doesn't get in the team anyway. Lingard, not good enough. And at this moment in time, Luke Shaw and Maguire are not good enough. But I'm sure at some point Shaw and Maguire will regain their form. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.